were alive when the Battle of the Sexes was on television in 1973. But when we came to this project, there was so much we didn't know about the story, and particularly what was going on in Billie Jean's life and her personal life leading up to the match, and then also what was going on for Bobby. Just kind of getting to know them and getting inside their private lives was what really interested us and why we wanted to tell the story now.
Wanted to work again with Steve ever since Little Miss Sunshine, and this seemed like the perfect role for him because it's obviously it has some comedy, but it's also a very dramatic role that requires a very light, delicate touch. So that was easy, and then for Emma, Emma brings something that's very rare. I mean, she's a great actress, but really who she is as a person is as important as anything. There's just an integrity to her that you see on screen, and so she was the perfect person for Billie Jean.
I think it's they're both really fascinating characters, and I think we knew a lot more about Billie Jean and felt like we knew her better. But I think maybe people will be surprised by Bobby Riggs. He was a really interesting, funny, eccentric guy and kind of ahead of his time. I think he really figured out that politics, that he could make a show out of politics, which I think it's become more and more today. But he just knew how to, like, oh, I'm gonna exploit this women's issue, and I can use it to get attention for myself. So I think, that's what's kind of fun to see.
I mean, there were so many difficult moments, but I think the match was probably the most difficult to stage because it was a football stadium, and it had 30,000 people, and we had 200 people, real people to move around, and so we had to work with a lot of special effects, and we wanted to get the tennis right. The game in 1973 was very different from the kind of play that we have today, so that was the challenge.
I do think it's obviously something very difficult for, some portion of the population. They can't see, why we haven't been able to make that change, really. I think women were paid 53 cents on the dollar in the 70s, and now we're maybe around 79 cents on the dollar for every dollar a man makes. So it's not great progress, but, as to why, I think there's people who are better to speak about that than me, but we get paid the same. Women in positions of power would be great. It's too bad we weren't able to elect a woman for president. I think everyone was very hopeful about that and how that might change things, even just the perception that we could have a woman for president.
Germany's done a good job of leading the way there. I mean,
Yeah, a lot of countries, but I think America's just a little slow in coming around, or
men, have always tried to stay in power, and I think that they would be surprised how nice it would be to have a woman. I think that if we all just let go for a moment, they might be surprised how well things go.